Yelena, formerly known as Black Widow, but I would personally like to call her the White Widow. I mean, you know how Natasha's known to be Black Widow. I would think she should be known for being the White Widow. Wouldn't you agree? She's a Red Room graduate and has been both enemy and ally to Natasha. More of what I just said right here about her in the Red Room. She's very similar to Black Widow in a lot of ways. She's a super spy, rogue agent, shadow of the Black Widow, basically described on this page right here. In more recent comics, she's more about having her own path. Yelena is one of those characters that's in darker comics that you wouldn't expect Marvel to even make. When you see outfits like this on video games, yeah, they're trying to mimic Yelena. When it comes to her standard gear and fighting style, she's very similar to the normal Black Widow we're used to. Like, you know, the Widow's bite things that shocks people that you see Black Widow use? She uses this stuff too. She also has a grappling hook. She disguises her Widow's bite to where it kind of blends in with normal attire. You're going to see a lot of examples of skills, but yeah, she's skilled with her gear, so she'll use it in versatile ways that's not necessarily made for. Like, she'll use her grappling hook to trip beings up and such. Other than her Widow's bite having a grappling hook, she has like a literal grapple gun on top of it. Hidden gear to pick locks, binoculars. When it comes to her outfit, it's implied that it's made to withstand bullets. It's Kevlar. The weapons she uses are things like micro explosives, grenade launchers that blast out gas. I don't know what's up with her and Black Widow when it comes to electricity. She has a taser in her gloves, cyanide gas, smoke pellets, and a gas mask. She knows how to use a rifle, knives, and pistols. She will even use a flare gun as a weapon if needed. Being a spy type character wouldn't be complete if she didn't have devices that allowed her to spy on people. She even got some wings that kind of remind me of the way Falcons look, but they're not quite as fast or durable as Falcons, but lighter and quieter, and half the cost. So she got a way of traversal. Real tall, I kind of like the design of these. I've said this a lot in my Marvel videos. I'm going to say it again. You don't have to be superpowered or technically have superpowers in Marvel to do superhuman stuff. Like, for example, Yelena constantly does superhuman stuff physically with her muscle, despite her technically not having no abilities. Yelena is one of those characters, she kind of worked her way up to being ridiculously strong somehow. Yeah, something that shouldn't be possible. I mean, she was a student of the Red Room, and that's their explanation on why she's strong, I guess. Because even though Natalia Romanoff is a legend in their community, Yelena states herself that apparently she is the first student in the history of Red Room to surpass her marks. Goes as far as saying, I may lack your experience, but I am your equal and better in every other aspect. You guys already know Black Widow's superhuman, for obvious reasons. It's occasions like this that pretty much guarantee that she has to be superhuman. She's literally fighting a bear being. And while I'm not saying she's physically as strong as this bear being, look what she did. She stopped his jaws from caving in on her for a temporary amount of time with just her raw muscle. This already should let you know she's ridiculously strong for no freaking reason. This being, even though I'm not saying she's as strong as this being she temporarily did this to is affiliated with Soviet super soldiers. And he's a being when he's in his bear mode, can lift 15 plus tons. You know how they say 15 tons. Usually characters lift more. So this being probably can lift a lot more, but bare minimally 15 tons. That's why her restraining this guy's mouth for a little second or two is insane. Not saying she can do the same as this being, but this is a being that's 700 pounds of muscle. And in total, this being is 900 pounds. So somebody please tell me, how the heck did she do this with her muscle? She's superhuman. There's no other way to think about it. I don't even want to get into the idea of Marvel underrating their own characters. Usually when they say a character is class 10, he can lift 10 tons. Usually the character can lift 60 plus tons and grab. These are the beings her muscles are clashing with, guys. Just a friendly reminder, this is the kind of stuff quote unquote class 10 beings can do in Marvel. So yeah, Yelena doing that, holding his mouth for that little bit of second or two is actually crazy. All of this strength is kind of demonstrated. It's partly because of her skills too, because you know when you got skills, you can punch harder with your strength. You know, when you see her punch or kick, open locked doors, it starts to make more sense now that you know her context. So when you see her punch a man with a rock in her hand that to the point where his head goes through the window of the truck, it kind of makes sense. And sure, when it comes to Alexei, this being that can lift over 15 tons, she does use other gear, but there's certain occasions where she just straight up hits him with blunt hits. On top of her gear being able to damage him too. So it's not just her, it is the gear partly helping. Yeah, this Ursa Major being is literally a bear shapeshifter. Let's keep it all the way honest, guys. Without any gear or anything, her blunt punches, based on all the stuff we've seen so far, she should have no problem easily punching through brick walls. I know that sounds crazy, but yeah, Marvel Human's crazy. I mean, just look at the weight of her punches. She's one of the beings that hit Kingpin here. Yelena calls vampires, when she's fighting them, a good workout. You see how she's kicking one here, tying a couple up here. Sure, these vampires aren't higher end vampires. Cover art implies with bare fists she can hit these vampires this hard. And with her batons, you see her hitting multiple. I hope you all aren't getting bored of her fighting vampires. because even when 2 is blocking Dagger in this particular situation, she just says, get the heck out of my way. We literally see her in a 1v1 versus a bear being that's stronger than normal bears in real life by an insane large margin. Sure, she did have weapons and stuff to help her out, but yo, her muscles clash with this being that's so many times stronger than the average bear. I mean, you can tell by the stuff she endures that she's not normal. Yeah, she ain't like bulletproof or nothing like Luke Cage or anything, but like you see this being hit through this ice when she's right there, and she stays conscious from stuff like this. I mean, she's straight up boxing, taking hits from the legend herself, the Black Widow we know of. And then when you look at the battle scenario she's in, it kind of implies she has to be stronger than normal people too. I mean, yeah, sure, this is partly skills, fighting speed, and other stuff too, but 2 women taking down all these people that are coming at you at the same time has got to be out of the ordinary. Not to mention they're freaking armed. Yeah, but they are using weapons too against these people. So I guess, you know, take that as you will. But there's other occasions like this where it's her and Black Widow working together where she doesn't actually have no weapons at the time and people have literal guns. At the start, they don't have no weapons, but of course their battle IQ and everything put together, they eventually get these guys as weapons, hits them with their weapons, and that's how Yelena turned the tide in battle. Yeah, she speaks Russian. There's moments where she literally can kick 3 men at the same time. Yeah, sure, she has weapons, but these are a lot of men, and she just looks like she's straight up just beating them with certain fists in certain occasions, and they're like sleep. Sure, these occasions, Black Widow does help her, you know, Black Widow and Yelena fight together a lot, but I think it's impressive that they're 2v15, like, beings that have superpowers and stuff, and they're technically holding back, saying, trying not to kill anyone. And if you're one of those weird people that believe she can only do these things with the help of Black Widow, well, let's just say she can do this kind of stuff on her own. Straight punches, kicks. This is probably a mixture of skill and speed. Look at her fighting skill, like speed. Like, you see the gun right at her head? How do you miss when you're this freaking close? When you notice her avoiding sword attacks and energy attacks that cover a wide radius, it kind of lets you know her fighting speed. These occasions of her agility are pretty clear. Look at these jumps to each wall. Yeah, you could argue aim dodging, but in Marvel Comics, there's constant examples of characters actually deflecting and dodging bullets. I don't see no reason why Yelena couldn't do it too, just like the other standard characters. Like, she's reacting to bullets this close range, countering the beam. Like, you're not going to sit here and tell me every single one of these beings in these panels, just every single one of them just have no aim. No, I think they have aim. I think these characters' fighting speed is just so absurd that it makes it look like these people have no aim when they really do. Sure, Yelena and Black Widow are different beings, but you got to remember Black Widow has competed with beings like Daredevil in fighting speed. This is the same Daredevil that can react to bullets in a microsecond, 1/1,000,000th of a second. These are the kind of beings Black Widow tier S beings have to compete with in fighting speed, so they have to be similar, I would say. Sure, this isn't Yelena, but the fact that Black Widow can compete with somebody that can react in 1/1,000,000th of a second this much should give you some perspective on what we're talking about here. So Yelena being able to react to things faster than bullets shouldn't seem like breaking news. Yelena can compete with Black Widow in fighting speed and reflexes, even though she's as fast or has similar combat speed to Daredevil, somebody that can dodge lightning and crap. Things that go over 200,000 miles per hour. So this kind of stuff implies just like what Black Widow can compete with in Daredevil, she can react to stuff way faster than lightning. Yeah, I know this kind of stuff may sound unheard of or unbelievable for super soldier S tier beings to be able to dodge actual lightning like this. And the thought of Yelena being able to do this too sounds crazy, doesn't it? I mean, they be sparring together and stuff like that. I mean, it makes sense. Look at this mix of agility and reflexes. Yeah, pretty clear. So when it comes to skill, fighting speed, and strength, all this stuff put together, it makes sense on why she can hit hard when she can fight this fast with her strength and skills, right? Now, if we add in her gear to how hard she can hit, it just kind of makes everything not fair. Her gear can do this when it comes to explosive power, or even worse, like she can plant these to blow up the entire building. So don't give her enough time to be armed and dangerous. She has guns that can damage these things. Yeah, this kind of level of explosions. Due to her being a super spy, basically, even when you have her tied up like this, there's no guarantee you can keep her locked up. She can like go to a base and just like completely clean it all the way out on her own. So yeah, it's pretty clear she's a super soldier tier type character, right? But even she's not immune to, say it with me, to temporary power-ups. Yep, she has temporary power-ups too. She kind of became her own little version of the super adaptoid that you saw in older comics. If you're curious on how she looks, being a super adaptoid, yeah, she's powered up. If you're curious on how all this stuff happened, at the time they called her Black Widow, she was horribly disfigured in a fight, but is taken in by a mysterious caretaker who offered to rebuild her shattered body and give her a chance at revenge. Yeah, she was really messed up. They reference the old comics when it comes to the super adaptoid and this television screen here, and that's exactly what happened. Yes, there is a point where Yelena becomes a powerhouse tier. What made her so high end is that she's literally copying the powers of some of the strongest beings in the universe, like freaking Sentry. for example. Look at her eyes. Sentry and Captain America, she copied the power of. Keep this in mind that lowballing the Sentry, he's a being that has the power of 1,000,000 exploding suns bare minimally, so this should go for Yelena since she copied him. The size of the sun compared to Earth, you see the comparison it is? She has this kind of raw power times 1,000,000, so she has the raw power to easily destroy planets and the rest of our solar system. Copying the power of Sentry. Just in case you have your doubts that she's actually on the Sentry's level, she actually knocked out the freaking Sentry. So when she copied their power, she got their full power. We see her get hit into the ground by the freaking Sentry and get back up. When it comes to her speed compared to the Sentry we know has absurd combat speed and reflexes. She charges Sentry with a decent amount of speed kind of before he can even do anything back. So it shows that she can react to these higher end powerhouses of Marvel. She copies Miss Marvel, another powerhouse in Marvel. Luke Cage, Spider-Man, Wolverine, Spider-Woman powers, she copied Iron Man, and she stated, I have all your powers. Stated verbatim, I have Wolverine's mutant healing factor, unbreakable bones. I have Luke Cage's unbreakable skin. They talk about the limitations of the super adaptoid on how she apparently can't power stack, but Iron Man made a good point. Why would you need to power stack if you have the power of the Sentry? You see what I mean? She could just use the power of the Sentry and just be wrecking everybody. But yeah, it's implied she can't necessarily power stack. She has to use one power of one character at a time. Like she can't be like, oh, I'm gonna stack Sentry's power with Miss Marvel's power on top of it. Like, I don't think she can do that. The only caveat to her actually being Sentry level and having the full power of the Sentry is the freaking void messing you up here and there, like your own powers messing you up sometimes. That's how the void is sometimes. If you become the Sentry, you must become the void, which can be pretty tedious. We've seen her completely overpower Miss Marvel and sling her this far away. Don't forget Captain Marvel. Miss Marvel can blast holes and stars. She got hit by Miss Marvel, so she can withstand what she can dish out. Not to mention, she can do anything Carol can do. Pretty much talk about how she has her power. Punches away several Iron Man armors at the same time. The only way she got beat was because of like a kill switch type of thing hack. They never like beat her like legitly. It was basically a molecular destruct button. Someone didn't want someone like Iron Man to be able to do any readings on her. Yeah, I know it's hard to believe Yelena had universe shaking power at one point. I know, Marvel Comics for you. See, the Red Room facility keeps clone bodies of their most valuable agents, even replace their bodies with super adaptoids like you saw. That's how they replace dead agent. These are backup plans in case an agent dies. And you know where this is going. You know they can't keep her dead. The plan is to restore her. And all else is history, and that pretty much explains why she's not powered up no more like a super adaptoid. Not bad for a character that has less than 100 appearances in Marvel Comics, right? She's pretty freaking strong. But what did you guys learn new? Before I get going, like, share, subscribe, turn on notifications. Thanks for the donos, y'all. Respect Yelena. I'm glad you are enjoying your time on the channel. Make sure you check out the playlist on the channel to see other How Strong videos. If you like what this channel is offering, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys later.